Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So today we are going to be taking a look at the Vassal Longbowen, these guys here. Let's just have a quick look at them in the tech tree first, and we'll talk about some of the things, how I'm finding them good, and some of the things I don't find quite so good. So obviously these are the sort of western top tier archers. They're kind of at the end of the line for now. Supposedly we're going to be getting veteran Longbowmen in the future as a golden era unit, but no sign of them yet. They cost 15,000 to unlock, plus of course you've got about 6,000 for this mandatory practice before, so it works out about 21 to carry them on from the domain archers. So they are quite expensive, but obviously heroic era unit, same as everything else, so kind of to be expected. As a small side note, it's one of the only few units I've actually put a little bit of extra honour into some of the upgrades. I did this partly because the fire rate of longbows I think is their biggest drawback, so the fact that this ultimately is a 20% increase if you spend the honour on it is quite significant, I think, in my opinion. But also the fact that as well that ultimately, assuming this holds true and they don't shift the line around later on when they release these veteran Longbowmen, which they may or may not do, you have to research these to be able to get to them anyway. So they'll be super expensive. It's kind of something that I don't feel like it's a complete waste of money putting honour into these. So actually, let's go and have a look at the unit in the barracks now, and kind of have a look at some of their stats. I would if I pressed the right buttons anyway. So as with other archers, they have pretty decent piercing damage. It's higher for the period. We're basically in 1900, not quite as high as the Imperials, which is the eastern sort of top tier archer units, but it's still pretty high nonetheless, and obviously really good piercing damage as well. So it means they can apply this relatively high damage pretty decently even against higher armoured units, which is kind of something that things like the Prefecture archers struggle with a little bit more. You know, you start finding Prefecture archers at Imperial Guards or Spear Sergeants or something that's a little bit more tanky, and you'll find that struggle to really do much damage. You'll just be hitting for a few hundred. So this extra piercing damage is kind of pretty nice. Combined with the fact that's only going to be going up, the next veterancy upgrade actually knocks this up by another 62, so we'll be getting close to 1500 piercing damage, which is pretty decent. On top of that, I guess the main, what most people surmise, the main benefit of the Longbowen is their range. They have the furthest range in the game, or they will do when they're upgraded. Currently it's 103. There's another upgrade down here, which is basically going to add another 12 over the 3 upgrades, so that'll take them up to 115 total range, which is really good. That is a really decent range, and you'll feel like you can shoot a long way. And you can hit pretty reliably as well, because they don't have too bad of accuracy. Although I must say, even though the accuracy is a lot better than something like the Prefecture archers, it's not amazing. I don't think they're super accurate, but there is an accuracy upgrade at the cost of a bit of fire rate later on here, so that might make a little bit of difference in terms of their accuracy and stuff as well. But without any accuracy values that we get given, because we don't get given anything like that, then it's pretty hard to actually determine how accurate they are compared to other units, other than just by sort of feel when using them. Obviously, I've got these relatively recently, so unfortunately, I'm only up to level 7 with them. With the way that XP gets applied in the current game since the patch, i.e. just very slowly, then yeah, it just takes absolutely ages to level them up. So, play quite a few games with them, been enjoying them, but gonna have to play a lot more to get them to sort of the levels I want them to. Unfortunately, I used a lot of my better like archery doctrines, particularly this accuracy one, 10% accuracy increase on the Prefectures, which I slightly regret. I would kind of like to put them on the Vassal Longbowen now. I kind of wish that 10% accuracy would be kind of a nice little boost, but still we haven't got it. It's nothing we can do, but I want to try and get a couple of damage increasing ones on here as well, and probably an archer specific one, particularly if there's an archer specific rate of fire increase. That would be a real nice thing to kind of get on here. So we've got a few little possible upgrades coming along in the future, which could be quite nice. What else is there to point out other than the fact that so far for the leadership and the kit cost, because the kit cost is fairly significant, we are down a little bit. Let's just see how much it costs to put that up. For 4 kits is 12,100 bronze. Pretty high. I'm not sure they're that much better than the Prefectures, but you have to bear in mind that the Prefectures have got better doctrines and they're fully upgraded, so it's a little bit of a balance. But the rate of fire is a lot slower. The unit itself is no stronger or anything like that. The range is longer and will be longer when they get upgraded, but it's not much longer, particularly when you start using something like rapid fire, rain of arrows, on Prefectures. So, I'm not sure it's really worth it, because remember the leadership cost of these is 250 to bring these into battle, compared to, I think it's like 180, 190, 185 on the prefectures. It's quite a bit more, another 65 leadership to bring these longbows. So I'm not yet convinced that they are superior to prefectures, but I still want to keep playing them, try and get the hang of them a bit more, try and get into better positions. So I think that's one thing I really fail on, is capitalising on the range properly. You can sit out of range of other archers and still score hits with these guys. So that's what I really need to be making sure I'm capitalising on, to sort of get good hits like that. Anyway, I need to stop talking, and we need to go into some battles and kind of see how I've been getting on with these guys sort of over the last 10-20 battles, something like that. So I shall see you all in the battle. So we're into the first battle, and I've just spawned in with my longbows. We'd had a bit of a push at the start. We managed to capture A relatively early on, so we're pretty good for time on this battle on Desert Fortress. But at the moment, as I clear through this gate, there's just a ton of stuff around the supply point, and then there's making a real good stand on that supply point. We've got some friendly troops moving in and pushing, and my main immediate focus is those enemy archers there. And you can see longbows really good in this sort of situation. You can see the sort of damage hits we're getting, sort of around the 1900 to 2000, something like that is probably the average hit. And that unit of archers just goes from archers to dust in about 3 seconds flat. And that's where these longbows really excel, because they're just doing such high damage hits. And the fact that the enemy archers are quite weak, you know, that makes them pretty good at this sort of thing. Although it's interesting to know, I don't think they're actually better at it than prefectures, because the damage potential of prefectures is so high. They're putting out so many arrows so fast, they take them down pretty quickly. But, you know, you can do this at greater range, so I can be back further away in safety and apply this damage in a way that the prefectures can't, or other archers can't. So anyway, so we get to this stage, and then I'm sort of thinking what I wanted to do next. I wanted to start to apply pressure on some of these enemy range routes around that corner. So I had to drag myself forwards a little bit, you see, because I wanted to make full use of my range. So right on the limit of my range there. But you can see they can still fire there with slightly long travel time, but then they can still start to get hits on some of the enemy range units at the back. And you see, just slowly peppering them away. We get a good few kills on them, and then ultimately they decide to pull back, which is fine. You know, it gives a clear run for us. Oh, they just go in. As these muskets retreat, I was just trying to whore a few kills, basically, because I thought it was just some easy kills while they were running, try and get some damage in on them. So as we do that, obviously we're still a full strength unit, and it looks like we've driven the enemy back from that point, and our friendly troops, our allies, have done a good job at getting into the supply point. Few people here to finish off. I'll just go in to assist, bring my archers up close, not really to provide any particular support, although they do get the odd shot or two in, look here at the end. And they do decent damage to enemy heroes, because they're always penetrating the enemy hero's armor normally, so you're getting pretty decent hits on enemy heroes. But I've mostly brought them in here just so I can bring them onto this this supply point to resupply, because like all archers, ammo is pretty limited. But because of their relatively slow rate of fire, you know, high damage, slow rate of fire, then the ammo supply isn't actually too bad. It lasts a decent length of time, I find. It's not cripplingly low like some of them. So yeah, ammo not too bad on these guys, and there is actually an ammo upgrade. I think you're going to ultimately in the veterancy line it gives like plus 30% ammo, so actually going to give a pretty decent little boost to ammo. So as we're around the corner, I'm just thinking, what we're going to do, is anything specific to hit? But basically the battle is, at this point, moving a pace quicker than I can reposition my archers. At least for me, anyway. So better people may be able to reposition them a bit quicker. I could have positioned them around the corner a little bit to get some shots in on here. But as our friendly troops and cav pushed in, I was just basically trying to throw some weight around with my hero, just get a bit of extra damage, and just leaving my longbows just back for the moment until sort of they can get into a bit of a better of a spot. So then we seem to be pushing up a little bit. And this is kind of where, I don't know if this is a right decision I made or not. As we're pushing up, I saw a lot of troops pushing down there. And I was kind of thinking about trying to damage some of their reinforcements, because that's the enemy spawn point in that little building across the way. I slightly stupidly shoot a building for a while there. And it had a bit of cav and quite a bit of enemy range unit stuff coming out of there. So it seemed quite a good opportunity for me to get a bit of damage in, just firing at some maximum range, because I'm pretty safe firing here. As you can see, we're getting hits in on these pikes and stuff like that. And as we're doing that, we've got a friendly hero. I thought, oh, maybe it's a bit of an opportunity for me to move up and throw a bit of weight around. But then I started to think, oh, and then I see the cav coming, and then there's a couple of enemy heroes, and I'm starting to think, yeah, maybe I'm a little bit far forwards here. And I'll do an absolutely shocking job against this glaive and against this Nadachi, who just do a great job of applying damage to me. I get free and turn to run because I think they're going to be coming from my archers, but they themselves actually back off or change direction, so I didn't really need to pull the longbows back. But you can see the enemy heroes get cut down anyway, but still, I was trying to intercept that guy there, but look at the map, I was going to get gunned to the face, and there he goes. From full health to no health in about 3 seconds. I was just trying to be conscious of the enemy. Look at this, the enemy horse. Whoosh. It's one of the nice things about the accuracy of these guys. They do hit hard when they're firing sort of straight line like that. And then those speeds, I just turn their backs, just grab a little bit of damage. And then finally, because I'm really wanting to push on the point here, because I feel like I'm not focusing hard enough. But I do see this group of archers running out sort of a max range. It's an easy couple of kills. You can see the damaging we get on there. You know, we're almost one hit killing them with some of the arrows if we get a critical. So, you know, that was just sort of 10, 15 kills there on enemy archers that are only going to be going around to reinforce the enemy position. So it seems worthwhile trying to get some damage in there. So this is where I think archers start to become less useful. Their ammo is starting to run down. They're in a decent position for getting shots here, although they can't realistically hit the enemy archers in this spot. But they're mostly shooting against spear sergeants. You'll see we get some hits in, and when we get hits, we do decent damage. Look, there's some good 1700s, 2000 going on there. So they do damage, and they are getting kills on those spear sergeants. But that's largely because the spear sergeants aren't really facing the right direction, so they're taking a bit of rearward damage. So they do much more damage than prefectures to something like this. But if they're shooting against shielded units from the front, they're still not going to get very many hits. It doesn't matter what their damage potential is if they're not landing hits. It doesn't really matter. So then this is where longbows are basically going to become useless in a minute. They're just about to run out of ammo. As you can see, the ammo's getting low. And at this point in the game where we're now pushing this final point, there's no easy way for me to resupply them. You know, if I would have to pull out, walk all the way back to the resupply point to drag those archers there, and there's nothing I could do in that situation. So basically, from this point on, the longbows are out of the match because they're out of ammo. And that's just a drawback pretty much of all archers, I find, not specific to longbows. They've done a good chunk of damage, you know, throughout the game so far. They've got, you know, I think they've got like 80, 90 kills, something like that. So they've really carried the weight. But now I wish I'd had spear sergeants or something like this at this point in the game. For a little bit of a cheeky trebuchet. I think I aimed that look, and then just as a friendly unit charges in onto the point, it's like, don't. That was my bad. Yeah, hadn't noticed they were about to charge in on there. But we get quite a few enemy kills still, nonetheless. Gives me I get actually quite a few kills. We even get a hero kill on that. Although I may have caused a little bit of friendly fire as well. Sorry. So then at this point, yeah, longbows long since forgotten. I'm just focusing on this point. I'm just trying to get the point. Look how close we are to the cap. We're, you know, seconds away from getting it. And we've got quite a few friendly heroes here now. And we've got the reinforcements more than they have coming. So I think I'm confident that we can get this, which is why I've just left the longbows. And they actually get attacked in the rear by some enemies pushing right round, and you see basically lose all the whole unit. But obviously because they've not got any ammo left, they can't defend themselves now, really. But again, as I say, long and forgotten, and I'm just trying to finish off some of these enemy heroes and stuff. There's some very bad little misses there on that enemy hero, but yeah, a few little woodcutter kills or surf kills or whatever these guys are. As we then start to clear up the point a little bit. Still getting the enemy pushing in. I get seriously low on health, but we just get away with it. And then very shortly, I'm going to do something very stupid. Oh look, very clearly a friendly trebuchet there. Big glowing circle. Only an idiot would walk into that because I know there's a trebuchet coming, don't I? Like, I don't know. I can't explain what I was thinking. That is, yeah. Sometimes brain just does not engage properly. So yes, that turned out to be quite a nice game. We got 81 kills with them, and they sort of did the job's worth. They got me the damage in. On to battle 2, and yeah, things aren't going very well in this one. See, we've already lost A, and they are most of the way capped through point B. So I've just lost my spear sergeants, and I was coming back with my longbows, trying to think where to deploy them. And this is one of the problems I'm having with them. I think it's in part a problem with the longbow, but in part also a problem just with my playstyle, is the fact that, you know, in a map like this, I find it quite hard to know where to put them to be able to take advantage of any of the range. Because when you're at relatively point blank, like this sort of situation, I feel like I'm almost as well just using prefecture archers, because they'll do more damage at this sort of close range, they can fire quicker, etc, etc. We do, as I reposition them a second time, and I'm trying to hit sort of over and beyond this large block of enemies. I know there's some enemy archers and some lighter targets sort of behind the front line of those squires, and I didn't think there's a lot of point in me just shooting the squires, so I'm trying to get hits over and beyond, and you can see the archers, the longbows are doing a pretty good job of getting some hits at that range. You can see them firing in that sort of way. And you can see the kills slowly racking up the side. But they are taking fire from a Scorpio, although I must say they're holding up pretty well, but I think that might be more down to the artillery nurse we've had of late. But they're still firing away. I'm trying to find my target. I noticed there was kind of a cluster of anything, something down there. I couldn't quite see what it was, to be honest. But they're actually kind of a testament to their accuracy. They're able to hit it, whatever it is. I think it's just a cluster of enemy archers or something like that, quite accurately. You can see they start to rack up a few kills, that was the word, on that little enemy in the corner. So they are quite accurate. But still, you can see in this sort of situation, having a hard time deciding where to put them. And then I throw my life away. This is where things get worse. I'm now taking enemy ranged fire, and I can't direct the longbows. See, look, there's an enemy archer unit at the end of the alley, right down there, and my longbows are just stood there being shot to pieces, and they will not fire back at those enemies because they're just shooting at the thing that's closest to them. Some cavalry, a couple of shielded units. So they're really quite an intensive unit. They require a lot of focus to be able to do them well. They require a lot of micromanagement, more so than even something like Prefectures. But anyway, that's kind of been my observations with the longbows so far. I like them. I think they have good potential, and I'm going to keep working at them, both to try and find better map placement, and to level them up a little bit more, because some of the penetrating upgrades, some of the extra range upgrades, I think it could be quite nice as well. And I'd like to try and find a good couple of doctrines to run on them as well. I think that could make a big difference. So yeah, so I like them, but I've not found them to be, in my opinion, I don't think they're as good as Prefectures for the leadership cost. Because, you know, you have a leadership limit. It does factor into what you deploy in normal sieges. I think they have more of a place probably in territory wars than they do, say, just in a siege battle. But I want to keep working on them, see how I get on with them. But anyway, I would love to hear your guys' comments in the comment section down below. What do you think of these guys? Have you got them? Any tips for me on how I can play with them a little bit better? Of course, subscribe to the channel for a load more Conqueror Blade content. And I shall see you guys all on the next video.